Hey guys, welcome back to The Relief. Glad to have you back here. Thanks so much. The number one topic that we've been requested to cover here on The Relief is suicide. And that's a pretty dang heavy topic to be discussing for sure. But it's been requested a lot recently simply because just in the 6 weeks since we were originally requested to cover this and started making the plans, there's been 2 more local teen suicides. Not only that, you guys might be aware that X Games superstar and BMXer Dave Mira just took his own life as well, which is extremely unfortunate. But today we're going to cover that. We're going to dive right in. And to give you guys a bit of statistics, just here in Iowa, to realize how big of an epidemic this is, suicide's the 9th leading cause of death for people of all ages in this state, according to WHO TV 13. And there were 447 suicide deaths in Iowa in 2015. That's 128 more deaths than the fatality count, according to the Iowa DOT, on Iowa roads this past year. Meaning 128 more people took their own life deliberately than died accidentally. That's a pretty scary number. To really give you guys perspective, according to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, every 20 hours in Iowa, someone takes their own life. That's a huge number. And it's a very unfortunate number. And people hate talking about suicide because it's freaking uncomfortable. I mean, how do you approach that with somebody? How do you address that with your kids who maybe you might already have a strained relationship with? How do you approach it with a spouse who might be feeling like they're just droning on through life, or depressed or unhappy with their current situation? Well, it just comes down to a few things, and for me it was communication, because I know exactly how it is. I was there once. I remember being young and not feeling like I was going anywhere, feeling like I didn't really have a great future. It seemed like when I was in school, everybody suggested that you grow up, you graduate, you go to college, you get out, you get a job, white picket fence, dog, wife, kids, and that's the life, right? But I never felt like that was my life. I felt lost, and I felt destinationless. But not only that, even in the short term, I was really struggling with my personal life. Because I'd come home after school, I'd go to my dark downstairs basement of a room, I'd put on music, and I'd read books, and just try to chill out, because I put all my stock and all my happiness onto a girlfriend that I had at the time. And she probably doesn't even know this to this day. But I gave her the responsibility of my happiness, which isn't something that I would wish on anyone. We're responsible for our own happiness, and we're all very aware of that. But for me, at that time, I would lay in bed and think about, when is she calling? When is she going to reach out to me? When am I going to hear from her? We didn't have cell phones then, and we probably couldn't afford one back then anyway. So I would lay there, and I would think about all the things she's doing in her life, which would have been, playing sports, hanging with friends, doing things that teenagers do. Me, I was at home, letting her live my life for me while I waited for her. And my anxiety would build, my depression would build, I felt lost, and then she'd call. And I might get 5 minutes, I might get a half an hour, but I felt great about that, and I was happy for those moments. And then I'd sink right back down to my depths of despair. And she's a wonderful person, went on to live a great life, but unfortunately, I put a lot of stake in our relationship at that time, and it's my fault for placing it there, because I should have taken responsibility back for my own happiness. Many years later, as I mentioned earlier, I thought I should get that white picket fence, that house and a good factory job and live the typical American life as I saw it or as it had been described to me. Because the things that seemed like I wanted to do weren't what people did from the town that I lived in. And that's okay. So I went after those jobs and I started working a very good job, but it just was not for me. It didn't fit me. I wasn't happy. And I started sinking again. I started to go downward. I started to get into the anxiety and the depression and the self-loathing all over again that I was going through when I was in high school. And I again felt lost. And I do remember before I graduated when I was struggling with what I wanted to do with my life and where I wanted to go, I had a teacher ask me, what's up? What's going on? And I told them, I said, I don't know where I want to go. I don't know that I want to go to college. I don't know that I want to, work a factory job or work some other similar job. And all she said is, so why do those things? And it struck me, and it stuck up here. But nonetheless, I still got that factory job because it was safe. It knocked down my fear a little bit. And I still went, and I still did the job every day. But I started eventually hating it, and hating myself, and not loving who I was, and thinking that I was selling out for going to this job every day. And naturally, I start calling in. I start sinking down into depression again. I started thinking about the fact that I didn't even want to get out of bed. I didn't want to leave my apartment anymore. I didn't want people to see me. I didn't want to see people. I didn't even open the curtains in my home to let that light in because I was sinking so badly. I remember sitting on my couch and just crying, tears running down my face because I hated my life so much. I remember thinking that there was nowhere for me to go, that there was nothing that I could do to make this better. And I felt like there was no one out there that understood the loneliness and the depression and the anxiety and the unhappiness that I was feeling. And I didn't understand why or how the heck someone could care so much about every single thing, but care so little at the same time. And that was me in a nutshell at that time. And I had no idea how to get out. I didn't know how to get out at all. I didn't know who to talk to, how I should talk to them. I didn't want to be judged. I didn't want to be called crazy or be told that it was just a phase, because I know you guys hear that just like I did. I witnessed it all the time. I saw that people would ridicule others when they were struggling. Kick the proverbial dog that's already down. And that's what makes it hard to reach out. But there are people that do care, that do want to listen. And friends, if you have individuals in your life that are struggling with this, just be present. Ask if everything's okay. Ask them what they can do what you can do to continue to help them. If it's just coming over once in a while, checking in, making phone calls, whatever, that's perfectly fine. Shoot them a text. Just say, hey, I hope you're having an awesome day. Give them a reason to smile. Parents, if your kid or friends or spouse is struggling, I know it's rough. I know it's terrible. But again, just be present for them. Tell them how much they matter to you. Ask them how today is going. Ask them how was school. Ask them who they're hanging out with. Don't grill them. Have conversation with them. Take it in. Understand what they're going through. Tell them it will be okay. I know for me, no one could change my mind. But knowing that someone was there would have helped me more than anything else on earth ever could. So if you're out there and you're feeling weak and alone and misunderstood, or like you're going to be judged, or just afraid to reach out, it's okay. I've been there. I'm not here to judge you. I understand exactly what you're going through, exactly what you're dealing with. And sure, people are going to judge you. People are going to say things about you. Whether you're healing or whether you're hurting, that's going to happen. That's not your business. Your business is worrying about what's going on in here, what's going on in here, and where you're headed. We don't talk about this a lot because of those judgments, because we're perceived as being mentally ill or off base or like we're just crazy. And I know that that's not the case. You're not a burden to anyone. You're not a problem for anyone. You're a human being, and you deserve to live a good, happy, positive life. That's what I'm here for, and that's why I want to support you in living that life. And I know your family and your friends and all of those that care about you in your life feel exactly the same way. You matter. You're extremely important. And you can get to that positive, happy destination on your journey. If I can do it, anyone can do it. Because I'll tell you, I'm currently living the life that I had only dreamed of when I was a kid. All the dreams that I'm living now and fulfilling today are the things that I used to dream about back then, when I didn't believe that I could reach them or live them. And even though people might have told you that you can't, I assure you that you can. But you have to get out of that dark place. And that's what I'm here to help you do. That's what your family and friends are around to help you do. And again, the only person that can change your mind and change your life is you. And I know when you're weak, I know when you're at your worst, you wonder if that's something that you can even do. Or you think to yourself, do I even want that? Because I'm tired. I'm tired of fighting. I'm ready to give up. Please don't give up. You're worth it. And for those of you who are around others who are struggling, who are feeling weak, who are maybe turning their life into a much more negative place for themselves and others, I do have a few tips for you to help them out. Jump in there real quick. I think the biggest thing to acknowledge is be present. Be there. Listen. I know I mentioned it earlier. It's worth mentioning a million more times. Often when we're trying to help somebody who feels hopeless, we feel helpless. I assure you, just being present is helpful. Be there. Listen. Ask what you can do for them. How you can make things better. Chances are good they'll say nothing, and they may be right. But your being present and your willingness to listen to what they have to say, just to get that off their chest, just to help them lift that off their back, is going to make a huge difference. Just be there for them. You can do that. You're capable of that. The next thing to think a little bit about, for those of you who are struggling, is when somebody comes to you and asks the question, hey, are you okay? How was today? Who are you hanging with? Be willing to communicate. You have to be willing to get it off your chest. If you bottle up, like I did, often, it's okay. Do your best to let a little morsel out there. They ask how things are going. They can already see that you're not doing great. But if you say, look, life isn't easy right now. And hopefully those around you will say, well, what can I do for you? What can I help? Tell me more. And that's an opportunity that you have the choice to take. Communicate. Be willing to be vulnerable. And if you can, if you're willing to step out of that box a little more, ask for help. The biggest thing, the most courageous thing that you can do in life is save someone else. Sometimes it's your own life that needs saving. And you're capable of doing that. Ask for help. It does not make you weak. It makes you courageous. It makes you strong. It makes you worthy. You can do that, I assure you. Something else to address is avoid alcohol and drugs. I'm not going to get into this. You guys know better. No one ever says alcohol made my life so great or drugs made my life so great in the long term. They're depressants. Avoid them if you can. And I think you all can. When it comes to negative thoughts and depressing feelings and feelings of anxiety, for me, it was a matter of isolating the cause. What's making you feel this way? For me, back in the day, it was putting my happiness, or the responsibility for my happiness, on someone else. I let them be responsible for how I felt every day. And that was the cause of my negative feelings. Later in life, it was because I was traveling down a road that I didn't really feel good about. I wasn't happy with where my future was at and where I was headed. And that was the cause of my issues. So when I isolated those things, when I addressed them, I was able to start to change them one small step at a time. And that helped me turn that frown upside down, essentially. It goes a long way. And it might be way deeper than that. There might be abuse. There might be issues in your household. There might be, other much bigger things, deeper things in your past. Alcoholism and any other sort of thing that might have affected you that you're carrying with you. It's okay to look inward and examine yourself. Don't get down on yourself. Just remind yourself, hey, what is the cause of this? Why do I feel this way? And then you can start addressing how to change it. Most importantly, for everyone watching this, I don't care if your friends are struggling, or you're struggling, or if it's your parents, if it's your spouse, it could be anybody. The most important thing, have hope. Being hopeful changes absolutely everything about your life. If you're not looking for the positive every day, you're not going to get to the destination you want. It can be as little as realizing that, you know what? I can smile one more smile today than I did yesterday. And that'll compound. 2 today, 4 tomorrow, 8 after that. Those little steps make a difference. But be hopeful that you can do that every single day. It's absolutely possible. Remember that millions and millions of people have survived suicidal thoughts. That's the statistic I want you to be, not any other kind. You're worth having here. I want you here. You matter. You're not a burden to anyone. I want you in my life, and the people in your life want you in theirs. If you are struggling and you don't feel like you have anybody to reach out to, if you feel like you've lost all your friends, or you don't have family that'll understand, and you do truly feel alone, or maybe you just aren't 100% comfortable with putting yourself out there with someone you know, I'm not going to judge you. Hit up joshuacoburn.com. You can find all of my social media. You can find my email. You can reach out to me any way you want. Shoot me a Facebook message. Send me a message on Twitter. Send me an email. I don't care. We'll get you to where you need to go. We'll help you out. The other thing to consider is checking out the Relief and Resource Center at joshuacoburn.com. There's some things there that might help you as well. If there's anything else I can do for you, please let me know. Again, have hope. You're worthy of being here, and the good life is out there. Take care. Talk soon.